for those parents is being eliminated. A tax revolt is sweeping through Saskatchewan. In towns and cities all over the province, business owners are becoming more and more angry about paying their business taxes. These are local taxes that businesses have routinely paid for years. But these days, business people are feeling the pinch of Saskatchewan's economic downturn, and many are now refusing to pay their business taxes at all. Jane Chalmers reports from Melville, the city where the tax revolt began and is still going strong.
It's a little city that feels like any prairie town, a community that hurts when farmers hurt. Some businesses just can't hang on anymore. Others are fighting back in a way they never have before.
As it stands right now, I will not pay my business tax.
This is a drastic step, saying I'm not going to pay the business tax.
Over 80 businesses, half the companies in Melville, refuse to pay business tax anymore. A tax that's added to property tax, one that businesses pay just to do business.
We're paying on our residential property, we're paying on our business property, and we're paying on our business tax.
Over half the money goes to school boards. The rest pays for roads, for sidewalks, upgrading the golf course, or building the new skating arena. It costs some businesses several $100s a year, others several thousands.
There's no way, absolutely no way they're going to make anybody pay up, because you can't take money out of an empty pail, and that's what we've got right now.
Who is going to pay them if, in fact, we don't collect the debt at some point in time?
There's a lot of businesses in town, their bottom line is in the red.
They deny they're radicals. Many were born here, worked here all their lives. These people say their protest is a new, even distasteful experience.
We have to stand up for our rights and say, listen, I'm going to push back here because I've reached a limit.
Not all business people agree with their neighbors' revolt.
If nobody wants to pay taxes, we should all quit. Then what would happen? You'd have anarchy.
Melville has already borrowed $50,000 to make up for lost taxes. That's less than half the taxes owed. The city isn't about to make another visit to the banker.
I'm afraid there's going to be a pretty heavy confrontation on that then, because that tax is due the same as if you don't pay your income tax.
We're going to win. There's no way that business tax is going to remain intact the way it is right now. Absolutely no way.
The fight over business tax began in Melville just over a year ago, but already it's spread across Saskatchewan to 20 towns and cities, including Regina. A handful of communities have abolished or slashed the tax, but in most, including Melville, the fight may have to be settled in the courts. Jane Chalmers, CBC News, Melville, Saskatchewan.
Canada may be facing fewer cases of AIDS than most people had forecast. George Wells is an epidemiologist for the federal government, and he's studied the spread of the disease. He says previous predictions may be off by as much as 20%. Wells is estimating a total of about 5,300 AIDS cases in Canada by the end of 1991. And he says the annual number of new cases should level off by next year. So far, there have been more than 1,300 people with AIDS in Canada. More than half of those have died.
Coming up on The Journal.
Pierre-Marc Johnson calls it quits. The end of independence or a new beginning for the Parti Québécois?
He has no right.
The right to rule the roost. The Senate rears its liberal head. Sober second thought or old and in the way? Skating a fine line. Carol Collins knows she's good enough to coach in the NHL. It's just no one else will believe her. Coming up on The Journal.
The people of Enniskillen began to bury their dead today. Funerals were held for 3 of the 11 people killed last Sunday in a bombing by the Irish Republican Army. Thousands of mourners, Protestants and Catholics, joined together to attend memorial services and to condemn those who carried out the attack. Craig Thompson reports.
The ruins left from Sunday's bomb attack stood as a poignant reminder as each of the funeral processions made its way through the streets of Enniskillen. Schools and businesses in the town were closed for the day to allow thousands of mourners from all sides of the community to attend the funerals. At the service of the youngest victim, 20-year-old Mary Wilson, people she didn't even know filled the street outside the church to hear the words of tribute.
Her sense of humor, her sincerity won for her many friends among staff and students.
As her coffin was taken to the cemetery, the funeral procession passed by the church where services were being held for another victim, Constable Ted Armstrong. Tributes were also paid to retired police officer Samuel Galt.